So where I left off in the recent conversation, we will just bring this to fulfillment, and then I actually have to pack because I'm going out of town next week. Is this. My hair is so bedheadish. Thank you for tolerating it. Yeah, Johanna and math, you guys are so cute. So here's what we were doing. We had embarked on this big unschooling project, which worked great for Noah, and he really went for it, even though I spent most of that time anxious and worried, to tell the truth. But, you know, really did let him have his head, because what are you going to do? Argue with a 16-year-old boy? I mean, I have more important things to do with my life than that. So anyway, mostly Noah's was really actually pretty cool journey. But Johanna had this reaction. So I had given her a schedule, a calendar, things to do every day, and then suddenly took that away and said, we're unschooling, you don't ever have to do math. She explained that she had, while she had been required to do math, she had sometimes been pretending to do it. So she would keep her journal inside her math book, and she would write in her journal instead of doing math. She would do all of the week's worth of math in a day, and then not do the assigned pace that I had said. Or she'd pretend to lose her math book when really she just was hiding it. When I said you never have to do math again, it had this reverse psychology effect on her, and suddenly she was worried that she wasn't going to get her math done. And so she suddenly started working on it very diligently and completed that year's worth of math within 2 months. Like, she just suddenly got on it. She felt very responsible. Now, I don't advocate either of those. I don't think it's a great feeling to suddenly feel abandoned in your education and all of it is on you, and you're suddenly panicked that your mother is not going to help you get the degree that you need, right? That's not a good feeling. Neither is the feeling of relentless pressure, where a parent is cajoling and requiring and pushing and telling. Those two things are not good. She was ninth grade, or maybe 8th or 9th grade. When that happened. So here's what I sort of realized, and what she did with her schooling that I thought was really brilliant. We decided to just figure out which subjects benefited from a more incremental pace. She needed the option of not doing if she didn't want to on a specific day, but a goal that was reasonable and realistic to her. And so she did some of those things. She ended up with a math tutor, which felt really good to her. Once a week support, guidance, and accountability that was for her own, that wasn't about our relationship, but was about her desire to get math. She took 2 years of Latin. In fact, last night at the movie theater, I ran into my homeschooling friend who was her Latin teacher. We hadn't seen each other in ages, and she and I just traded stories on all of our kids, because she had taught my kids, I had taught her kids, and they're all adults now. So we were just talking about how it all worked out. And I remember that this friend was actually fairly, here's the list, here's what you have to do with her kids. And her middle child was very resistant. He was a boy, and he just wouldn't keep up with his work. He took many of my classes. I taught him acting and writing at our co-op. He took my online classes. She took all my online classes. And I remember her confiding in me junior or senior year for this boy. And she said, I don't even think he should go to college. I mean, he'll never turn in his work. But I knew he was brilliant. I mean, I had worked with him. He was so smart and so adorable. Just like one of my favorite kids. Really witty, really sharp, but he just was sick of doing homeschool at home all the time. So they still packed him up and sent him off to college. And that kid is a doctor in residency today. He never got anything lower than an A. He was the top of his class for all 4 years, went off to medical school, and now is in residency as a radiologist. And we laughed about it last night. I said, remember how worried you were? She's like, I know. And so we kind of joked and said we need to do a Periscope together. I need to get my group and have them all on Periscope and tell you the things that they did that were ridiculous and how it all worked out. Because really, the vast majority of my friends, it's all worked out. Even the ones who sort of went off the rails. And there are some kids who've gone off the rails. I know some. But in the end, you start to recognize what the patterns are. And the whole purpose of this original Tea with Julie scope was this. The foundation for your homeschool has to be dialogue, connection, relationship. Has to be. And that family culture determines everything. So if you have a really bonded connection, like I had with my mother, public school can work well. She was so supportive. She sat in the front row for every play that I was in. She made my lunch every day. We shopped for my clothes twice a year, and it was always really important that they were stylish and felt current so that I would feel like I fit in. She was the one who helped me get my driver's license. She was the one who helped me write all my papers. When I had to turn in a research paper and I miscalculated the time and daylight savings happened and I didn't have time to type it myself, I read it to her, she typed the whole thing. She didn't blame me about my terrible time management skills. She was right in there helping me get this paper done. That's what you have to do for your kids. Dialogue, connection, relationship, absolutely. So whether you home educate or you put your kids in school or you unschool where dialogue, connection, and relationship is critical, or you have neglected children, they don't want neglected children. The best unschoolers are in constant relationship with their kids. They're curious about what their kids are curious about. They're spending money and driving places and strewing, their favorite word, strewing all kinds of opportunities to explore and be curious, right? So whether it's homeschool or you can ruin unschooling by being neglecting, by having a really sour attitude, by using a negative tone of voice. Okay, so I don't worry so much about consequences. Someone is asking, how do you balance connection and consequences? Life deals blows. Life deals blows. I would much rather that you talk about what your life experience tells you for your kids than set up artificial consequences. There's one book that did help me with my teens. It was called Yes, Your Teen is Crazy by Dr. Michael Bradley. I'm going to write that down for you because now you're going to all ask me for it. Yes, Your Teen is Crazy. It's a horrible title. Dr. Michael Bradley. Okay, here it is. And the reason I say it's a terrible title is the word crazy these days really shouldn't be used because it's denigrating. Yeah, yes, your teen is crazy, right. So one of the things I liked about that book that was helpful to me is it really talked about the brain research of teenagers, like how their brains work. It gave me so much more awareness and compassion. And so if you want to deal with consequences, deal with it first within the context of how the brain actually functions, so that as much as possible, the consequences your teens experience, or your kids of any age really, are the result of those choices they've made, not you imposing punishments. Punishments really do not deter kids the way we've been told that they do. They end up leading to resentment and broken connection. So that book I considered a helpful tool if you're looking for something to read that has, you know, a little bit more scientific research and a lot of practical suggestions. But here's where I want to go with my kids, with you guys, related to homeschool and where I landed with my kids. And I mean, it's a work in progress always, even with adult children, college-age kids, you're still dealing with stuff. It goes on forever. Just warning you. Is this. You can revise your belief system at any moment. You can start a day over at any moment. You can reestablish connection and cooperation at any moment. This isn't a lifetime perspective. I think where I made a mistake when I was young is I kept thinking I had to choose the right perspective to maximize its value for my family's journey. I thought I've got to lock in, you know, to classical education to get the maximum amount out of classical, or Charlotte Mason. And if I somehow started midway or I adopted it for a season and then tweaked it and left it, I wouldn't get the maximum benefit. There's no maximum. There is only the benefit that you get. And your personality and your family culture is going to modify whatever you adopt anyway. So be open to that. Be open to change and growth. To me, growth is the core value system that you want to convey to your children, that not all is lost, that they don't make irrevocable decisions, that there is hope after they make mistakes. We certainly don't want them to feel like the consequences are so dire, their futures are closed. You know, even a kid who doesn't prepare for college in their teens can still go to college at 30. They can prepare in their 20s. This is the kind of things we need to think about when we're dealing with our children. Not get so locked into there's this destination and end result at 18, and if we don't get there, we've failed them forever. It's not true. And some of your kids will make you realize it's not true because they won't let you marshal them into this idealized image that you've been cultivating their whole lives. I like that. Mistakes are welcome here under our love umbrella. That's very nice. Yes, exactly. We're dealing with persons, not products. And what they say about you, your kids don't say anything about you. Now, the culture won't tell you that. They'll blame parents, but I'm here to tell you that. Your kids get to become the people they get to become. All of us. My therapist said once, okay, I'll get that. Any tips on changing the family culture around mistakes? Yes. My therapist said once that the main function of the family of origin is to launch you into adulthood. And some give you lots of tools and some fail you miserably, but once you get to adulthood, it's on you. And so that's sort of freeing for me. The way I've solved it is I offer to pay for therapy for everyone. And I have so far, because I'm a big believer in therapy, so go ahead. Yeah, but it is, right? Don't you blame your parents? I mean, I was sitting with a whole bunch of homeschooling mothers who were all complaining about their mothers. And I turned at one point and I just said, you guys, do you hear yourselves? You're all blaming your mother. Do you want your children to blame you? Stop blaming your mother. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of adulthood, is realizing that in the end, you are responsible for you. And all these inputs create trauma and you have to heal it, but it's on you to heal it. Nobody can do that for you. So how do we change the family culture around mistakes? Well, we start welcoming mistakes. We start creating opportunities for failure. We start taking risks and allowing for discovery and exploration. And we say things like, hey, let's try this and see how it goes. Let's just see how it goes. So you might say, we're going to try this season where there are no chores in the family, and in a month, let's get back together and just see if the house is neater, messier, if we're happier, more miserable. But the chore thing isn't working. Everybody's arguing all the time, and I'm just fed up. And I'm going to ask for help occasionally, and I hope out of the goodness of someone's heart, you'll help me. But for a month, we're doing nothing. We're just going to see what happens. That's how you create a new culture. You start a see what happens attitude. You stop expecting outcomes. You don't embark on unschooling as the magical cure. You don't join Brave Writer as the magical cure. It's not a cure. None of this is fail-safe. This is not an inoculation against the sickness of a failed homeschool. What we're doing is living a life. We're living a life with our kids. And each day we are thinking about ways to make that a more peaceful, harmonious, enjoyable process. And some weekends everybody's going to be cooperative and raking leaves and singing to the boombox, and other weekends everyone's going to drag their feet and have a headache. And it doesn't mean that either system was working or failing. It's just human beings. I'm yelling. Sorry, I'm yelling. You got me on my topic. Okay, so have we had enough tea with Julie? Are we all set? Do we understand? Yeah, chores are the nemesis because human beings make messes constantly and it's just never ending. And I just made a mess without my children and now I resent myself. Like, KonMari, why am I living with all these books on the floor, and now when I decide which ones I don't want, I'm not strong enough to put them in a bag and carrying them out my door. I'm so angry at her this weekend. I feel like she's my parent I can blame. How dare you mess with my books? Oh my gosh. So I have to pack and go to Peru to see my daughter with Noah. And she told me, someone said, are you going to surf while you're there? And I was like, oh no, we're going to the mountains. She just sent me a message yesterday, bring your bathing suit, we're going to go surfing. So I am going to surf in Peru. How fun is that? And no, I'm so excited. Yeah, it's crazy. I teach my boys that they will be husbands and fathers, so they need to learn responsibility now. That means nothing to a child. I know you want them to believe that. It means nothing. And I know I'm being dramatic. Let me take that back. It might not mean nothing. They love you. They're hearing you. But today is what matters to children. The future doesn't matter to children. Yes, thank you for the advice about the altitude. I am going to be careful. Think about this for a minute. If I told you, be a really good woman today so that when you're 75, you'll be a pleasure to your nursing home friends. How motivating is that? You can't even picture being in a nursing home. That's not a place you're imagining being ever. Right now, you are so consumed with today, you're not thinking about whether you're going to be cranky with the nursing staff at the nursing home. You're not. And if I warn you over and over again, now you start to resent me a little bit, right? So stay in the now with your kids. We aren't trying to teach them responsibility for later. That's not helpful to them. We want them to experience being valuable to the family today. Today. And the way that they know they're valuable today is if you talk with them about how much they are helping you right now. And you focus on the ways they are already helping you. Wow, thank you for smiling at me. I needed to be cheered up this morning. Can I have a hug? Next thing. Oh, you brought your dish to the counter. You never do that. I'm so happy to see that this morning. What a great thing. You probably shouldn't say you never do that, but I probably would because I'm human. You know what I mean? You're going to do the things, and if they are really resistant and they're like, I don't want to garden, I don't want to make my bed, explore it. Oh, interesting. Making beds is not interesting to you. Tell me more about that. It's always really been a great thing in my life. How is it for you? Why is it more interesting for you to leave your room a mess every day than to pick it up? And then find out about it. One of the things that I noticed that happened a lot in our family is that there was this feeling that the parents had things the kids were supposed to do to prepare them for their future. And then they got to find out that adults don't even live up to their own standards. They're around other adults. They see all these adults saying, don't be messy, and then the adults they know are messy. That's not a good model. There are plenty of adults functioning in the world who are total messies. So it's not true that we're preparing them because they may not ever become that kind of person. So it's kind of fakey. It ends up feeling a little bit like you're not valuing today and you're cajoling or manipulating them into an action for now that would make you feel better. So maybe let's try it like this. Hey boys, hey daughters, hey sons, hey daughters, we have a problem. The house is a mess. I want my house to be neat. It doesn't seem like everyone is on that same page. And it makes me really cranky and I want to be a great mom to you and I'm cranky about it. How are we going to solve this? Is there any hope for me? You know how my mom solved it? She hired help. She had people come in and clean our house twice a week. So we never had that as an issue. I couldn't afford to do that. We had to come up with other solutions. That's a reasonable solution, by the way. It's a reasonable solution. It doesn't mean that you're not teaching responsibility. Yeah. Okay, so I hope I didn't bash on that too much. That's just one of my little pet things. And I appreciate who shared it because we all think that way. We all keep thinking about the fantasy person of the future. Let's stay with the person of today because we don't know. Honestly, we don't even know if they'll make it to adulthood. A car accident could take them out tomorrow. Do we want them living with this feeling that everything they do is about a future self? We want them to live today and feel like today was a good day. Yeah, stay with the person of today. And do that for yourself too. Don't worry about whether you're going to be a great home educator by reputation, okay? Focus on being yourself today. You don't even have to be a great home educator today. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Tell the freaking truth. Be yourself. Be present. Feel the smile. Try to connect. And yes, be mindful. So who was it who made that comment? Because I'm feeling really bad right now. Because I want to connect to you. I don't want you to feel any shame for making that statement about the boys becoming great husbands and fathers. Here's the thing. I think if you focus on them right now, they will be that person. Because they'll have lived a feeling of love and connection and service, and they'll carry that into their adulthood. And it will influence how they are as husbands and fathers. And of course, we want that for our daughters too. Also, who knows if they'll get married? They might not. That's the other thing. So we don't know what they're going to do with their lives. And we want to be careful not to forecast too much and have expectations. You all are so precious to me. And you all make such great contributions to these conversations. And occasionally you push on a little button of mine and then I jump on it. And I just want you to know that I appreciate what you share. I am absolutely in no way. I've been everywhere you've been. I've yelled at my kids. I've forecasted and prophesied doom over them. Basically, Noah's unschooling years look like this. Noah doing his own thing and me freaking out about it. And saying these words, but you'll never get into college. You'll be flipping burgers for a living, right? I did all of that over and over. So my reactions right now are, here's a sign, here's a warning, maybe take a different path. Do it better than I did it. That's my hope. I want you to do it better than I did it. And then at the other end, you get to go see them in Peru. I hope they take you on many amazing journeys. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all the hearts. Thank you for coming back. I really do have to go now. And I appreciate all of you. You're really fun people to hang with on a Saturday morning. Enjoy. Yeah, you can't do it all alone. Chores do need help. So I will be excited for your scope, Alicia Hutchinson, that tells us how your family solved it this week. Maybe think of it that way. How am I going to solve chores today rather than for all time, right? And how did it look this week? And then next week, how does it look? And then next week, how does it look? And then over time, you will evolve a philosophy of how your family handles sharing the same living space. Okay? And that's all it is. Yeah, I totally called her out. We'll be waiting, Alicia. All right, everybody. Live honestly, write bravely, enjoy your chores today. And if you have sunshine, enjoy it. We have it today. Okay. Thanks for hopping on. This was super fun. Love you all. Bye, everybody.